Welcome back, you filthy exiles. So, obviously, in the patch from last league, there was a little bit of nerfing that was done to Pure Agony. It now doesn't give us an additional Sentinel of Purity. It sucks balls, but it doesn't matter too much because we can still flog DPS up pretty high. Now, how do we get to a decent amount of DPS with Herald of Purity, Herald of Agony, and how do we do this on a Jug? Well, this tree is going to give you the guidance of how to achieve that to a reasonable level. Now, there's a little bit of tweaking to get this to work, but you can pretty much play this as a build league starter. I did in Delirium, even though Delirium was pretty equipped to deal with Hop and Hoa builds. But anyway, this is a bit of theory craft for 3.12 as to what you can play with the Jug as far as doing a Jug summoner. Now, that also bearing in mind, if you could potentially run Spectres on this tree, you could potentially run a large number of different types of things on this tree as far as summoning goes, and probably make it work quite well on the Jug. I've chosen to use Hop and Hoa because I like Herald of Purity. Now, what gets this working? What makes this work? Well, the first thing of all to discuss is there's only two uniques that you really need to get this kicking. First is a Circle of Guilt Ring that gives you 40% reduced mana for a Herald of Purity, and the second is a Circle of Nostalgia Ring, which gives you 40% mana reduction for Herald of Agony. It's pretty much the two key items that get this to work. Now, the other thing is just ignore this voices. We're never going to use voices in this build, which is why we've wound our medium clusters down to 2 instead of 3, and you'll see that on the tree. The other unique I use in this build is a Fortress Covenant Jewel, which is usually pretty cheap at the start of the league. They go as far as 10C, and a Victoria's Charity to buff up your minions. So, why the Jug? Well, basically, with Herald of Purity, you're going to have 4 Sentinels, and these Sentinels are going to be doing 728,000 DPS each. So what's that? 728, 2, 3, blah, 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 times 4. So you're going to get close to 3 mil DPS. Now, if you tack on one more of those, with the Helm enchant, you're going to have 5 Sentinels of Purity, and they're going to be doing a total combined of 3.6 million DPS. It's not the biggest amount of DPS, but the trade-off is that the Jug Ascendancy on this particular tree is going to be rocking about 90% physical damage reduction with about 33,000 armor, max capped resistances, and also chaos resist in the plus of 35%, which can be driven up quite significantly. Now, bearing that in mind, there's no reason why. Now, I have left in the Pure Agony cluster jewels here, and Cult Leader, and Heraldry, and another Pure Agony here. These have all been nerfed, obviously. Now, there's no reason why you can't max out crit and beef up your minions even more. And then, obviously, you can run, a dual socket minion cluster jewel too, and that's going to push your DPS up. I would say you could probably get your Purity Sentinels up to about 1 mil DPS each, and in fact, on their Crusader Slam, they do just about 1 mil DPS each. Now, obviously, you're going to get 4 to start off with, and then you're going to get 5 with the Helm enchant. Sucks that you can't get +1 on these anymore. You used to get about 7, and 7 was freaking awesome. But we can rock with 5, and we can do quite well with 5, and we're also going to have Hop to keep us alive as well. Not Hop, Hoa, which is Herald of Agony. And that's going to do poison damage and whatnot too. Now, even that, I believe, I don't know, they didn't nerf that, so that's still good. Now, Resolute Technique, that's right, yeah, because we're never going to crit with this, so we want maximum, yeah. Okay, so anyway. So, obviously, this is a bit of a riff off my Guardian build that I did in Delirium, and I think I've got a couple of videos up on that build, and basically I've converted it to the Jugs. I just got tired of not playing the Jug to do summoner builds. Now, this tree, you could probably use it for Sentinels as well. I think I said that earlier. If I didn't, you can definitely probably use it for Sentinels. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. So this is just a theory build for now. I may very well play this in the league as well, because I'm pretty keen to play a Hoa Hop summoner Jug. In fact, just any Jug that I can run as a summoner. The other thing that you could probably introduce into this build is Glancing Blows too. That's if they don't fucking nerf Glancing Blows in the next league as well. So yeah, from a skills point of view, and we'll just go through the tree here. So basically you're just going to pick up your health nodes here. You're going to come up, you're going to pick up this cluster, you're going to start building into this cluster jewel. You're going to come down, pick up these nodes here for the health and the armor. Resolute techniques, so we've got 100% on chance to hit. Then you'll come up and you'll pick up these minion nodes. You pretty much want to prioritize this, and also sovereignty and purity of flesh, which gives you chaos resist. Then you're going to turn around and you're going to come up here and pick up the discipline and training. You're going to pick up spiritual command, sacrifice, yada yada yada. You want to come down and you also want to prioritize necromantic aegis, so that your Victoria's Charity Shield starts buffing up your minions and giving them frenzy and the power charges as well. And then we'll come up and get we'll come up and get enduring bond, just to beef that up, and then obviously pick up more health nodes. Now this build should work quite well in Delve as well, because it's so freaking tanky and then it has the abilities to heavily sustain damage. It should be a pretty good it should actually be quite a good build in Delve. Now from a skills setup, basically you're just going to be using Herald of Purity, minion damage, Impale. Now this isn't Awakened minion damage. I have keyed these up to level 21, but whatever. If you get a Awakened multi-strike somehow, then that's going to beef the DPS up of this, and you'll easily get them doing 1,000,000 DPS. The best thing about Herald of Purity as well, if you've got a tanky enough character, you can just sit on endgame bosses and they can't do shit to you. So that's another positive. You're going to be running them with Impale, Brutality, merely physical damage, and multi-strike. It's just going to be basically whomping beasts. With your Cyclone, you're going to run Fortify, Life Gain on hit, and Maim. You're going to maim your enemies, so then your Sentinels of Purity do even more damage. You'll be running Herald of Agony in your Helm. And the Helm, we're going to run from memory an Elder Helm with level 18 minion damage at least, and additional minion damage. And then you're going to run Feeding Frenzy, Pierce, and Vicious Projectiles, and that's just for that extra damage that you're going to put out with your Herald of Agony crawler. Now, if we look at the DPS for that, you're only going to get about 67,000 on the mortar. Tail Spike, actually you're going to get 268,000 DPS with Tail Spike as well, so it's going to do quite a lot. Cleave 150k and default attack 150k. So your Herald of Agony minion's going to do quite a bit of DPS as well on top of your existing DPS, so you're easily going to get up to, if you got 5 Sentinels of Purity, 4 mil DPS standing, and that's just going to be rolling through maps with a complete beef tank that's going to absolutely just steamroll over the top of bosses. So in that way, it's quite a good build in that respect. It's very tanky, very, very sustainable, very good for delving. It's somewhat of an all-arounder build. I wouldn't expect impressive things, but gearing wise, it's going to do the job. And it also gives you the ability to basically gear up your gems however you see fit. Now you are going to eventually level up and get Corrupted Blood immunity. That's going to give you the ability to sustain endgame boss fights with Cyrus. But yeah, as an overall, I think that you could do this quite well. So the Astral Plate, nothing complicated on the Astral Plate. By all means, you can get way better Astral Plates, and if you can get an Explodey Chest, then Explodey Chest is going to be even better. So obviously enemies are going to explode as your Sentinels hit things and kill things, and then that's going to do even more damage. Whew, contact lenses. I'm talking so fast, my contact lens is falling out of my face. And then obviously some support skills. You're going to be running Holy Relic. You're going to be running Summon Carrion Golem and Flesh Offering. And now the big thing here is also you're going to be running a Gemini Claw, and you're going to go trigger Socketed Spell when you use a skill. Because you're going to be using skills all the time and movement and whatnot, that's going to trigger all of your minion skills. The attack speed and minion damage are going to buff up your minions further. And by all means, you could probably do some pretty awesome shit with this too, as far as +1 to all strength gems, and Herald of Purity is a strength gem, and I'm pretty sure that you'll be able to buff it up that way too. So there's a fair few things that you can do to level up. You can get a Hunter Amulet. This doesn't use a very special amulet, but you can get a Hunter Amulet and you can get +1 to strength gems. That's going to increase your hop damage as well. If you didn't want to run a Gemini Claw, then potentially you can run a Cold Iron Point. That's going to be level 3 to your Herald of Purity gem. That's going to increase your minion damage even further. So if we have a look at that, we can have a play with that right now. So we go 1, 2, 3. And then if we go to Herald of Purity, so yeah, if you run a Cold Iron Point, they're going to get to 1 million DPS per Sentinel, so that's going to be powerful. Anyway, the moral of this build is that you can play this without having to play a summoner specifically, and you can get a very good amount of DPS for what you invest into it. And you know, this is built on very, very minimal level gear. Nothing here is incredibly crazy. A lot of this I self-crafted when I was playing, and this got me through killing Cyrus in the end game with a Guardian. So there's no reason why you can't get that to work with a Jug. And in fact, this shows that it does work. Now, before I go any further, this is Shaper Guardian DPS. This isn't inflated DPS. It is legit DPS, and Cyrus DPS is still quite good. It's very, very, very powerful. So, yeah. Anyway, I will put the POB in the description. And you guys can do whatever you want to do with it, have some fun with it. You can play with this. If you get it working even better than this, let me know. I'd love to know. I'm probably going to play this as my league starter because I just want to play a summoner Jug. I think it's really cool. I think it's non-meta. I think that it's different, and you know, if I can get this to endgame working quite well and geared up very well, then you know, more power to me. The other thing I should add is on your amulet, you're going to want to run Charisma. I think got it here, and that's just for the mana reservation reduction. So I think we've got some issues here with unreserved mana and whatnot, so we're gonna have to work on that too in this build, but you know, we can work with that, that's fine. Yeah, shit happens. Anyway, if this looks cool, if this is something really different that you'd like to try, give me a like and a sub. If you think that you can't play a summoner Jug and it's just completely non-feasible, then, you know, dislike away as much as you want. But anyway, until next time, bye.